Go, Carter. You should be the first one. Go.
You can't get too close.
Now let his kids go. Where's daughter?
The wave is officially back on the streets. After nearly 16 years locked up, Max B walked out of prison and the internet lost its mind. Within hours, he was everywhere. Jewelry stores, birthday parties, nightclubs, even courtside at a Jets game. But while most of hip-hop was celebrating, one person was noticeably silent: Jim Jones. The same Jim Jones who spent years saying he wanted nothing to do with Max, who said F Max B in interviews, who walked away from their brotherhood when things got messy. And now that Max is home, the trolling aimed at Jim has reached levels nobody expected. 50 Cent jumped in almost immediately, posting memes suggesting Jim was a snitch, tagging him as the character Rico from Belly eating a banana. The caption read something like, "Max is home, it's packed in harbor. Jimmy about to drop a dime on these dudes. LOL." The post went viral instantly, and suddenly everyone was talking about Jim Jones again, but not in the way he probably wanted. So what's really going on here? Why is Jim's name being dragged back into this after all these years? To understand why Jim Jones is catching heat right now, you have to go back to the mid-2000s when Jim and Max were actually close. Like brothers close. They were in the studio together constantly, moving through Harlem side by side, building something real. Max had just come home in 2005 after serving 8 years on a robbery case, and when he touched down, the diplomats were running New York. Through Cam, Max linked up with Jim and the connection was instant.
Bell, New York.
Yes, sir.
Fresh out the can. Damn. Over 18 stretch.
Damn.
They gave me 7 and 5.
Max B when he gets out.
Max B.
Okay.
Max, out of here. People don't play with me with that conversation. Ain't nobody can tell me nothing about that. That's the first thing I say. You heard?
Okay.
That's how you feel. That end the deal for anybody. There ain't no Max talking about conversation. Period.
Jim signed Max to his Bird Gang label and paired him with Dame Grease. By 2006, Max dropped his first mixtape, $1 Million Baby, and it took over the streets immediately. His raspy, melodic delivery and wavy style made him sound different from everybody else. At the same time, Bird Gang had Stack bundles, and with both Max and Stack in his corner, Jim Jones looked unstoppable. Max was the hidden force behind the hooks and melodies that made Jim's tracks explode. Songs like Baby Girl turned into neighborhood anthems overnight. People started whispering that Max was the real creative engine behind Jim's new sound. And that's exactly where the tension started creeping in. But while Max's buzz was growing, his street instincts pulled him into a situation that flipped his entire life upside down. He was dealing with his ex-girlfriend Gina Conway, who told him about a flashy guy named Alan Plowden running mortgage hustles, driving luxury cars and throwing cash around. Max couldn't let the opportunity slide. The plan sounded simple: pull up to Plowden's hotel room, grab whatever money was inside, and leave clean. But when they finally tried to make it happen, nothing went the way they expected. Gina and Max's stepbrother, Kelvin Laird, were the ones who actually went to make the move. But they got lost, missed exits, and spent hours driving in circles. By the time they reached the hotel in Fort Lee, Plowden was already back in his room with another woman. Then things took a way darker turn. Another man, David Taylor, walked in out of nowhere.
How you feeling
I feel righteous.
Damn.
Feeling good.
Feeling good.
I know what it is. I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm thankful.
Love that.
God is good.
I'm asking you, and I asked you before, how do you feel about getting past differences with certain people?
I'm petty.
Right, hold on, because I'm trying to, hold on.
Laird panicked, pulled out a gun, and shot at Taylor. Just like that, what was supposed to be a quick robbery turned into a murder case. Everything collapsed fast. Gina got picked up first, and when the pressure hit, she folded immediately. She handed over a 169-page statement to police, spilling everything and pointing straight at Max. She claimed he was the mastermind who convinced her to help and promised her a better life. Once the feds had her statement, they came for Max heavy. He got arrested and hit with felony murder charges, even though he wasn't physically at the hotel that night. His bail got set at $2 million. And just like that, Harlem's rising wave star was staring at the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. While Max sat in that cell, time froze for him. But outside, everything kept moving fast. Jim Jones was suddenly everywhere. Jim had just dropped We Fly High, better known as Ballin', and the track exploded overnight. It became a global anthem and the biggest record of Jim's entire career. But behind those prison walls, Max was hearing a completely different story. He claimed he was the one who actually wrote We Fly High. According to Max, he ghost wrote that joint and several of Jim's biggest records. The hooks, the melodies, even some of the ad-libs came from his creative mind. So while Jim was on TV doing interviews, popping bottles, and cashing major checks, Max was sitting in a cell watching somebody else blow up off a sound he said he helped build. After nearly 10 months of waiting, Max finally caught a break. The judge reduced his bail to $90,000, but he needed help to touch the streets again. That's where everything got really dirty. Jim stepped in, but reportedly not out of love or loyalty. Word around Harlem was that Jim only agreed to help with Max's bail if Max signed over his publishing rights and agreed to drop 6 full albums under Bird Gang. What looked like a lifeline was really a trap. But Max was desperate, locked down, and out of options.
You've had past differences with people. Some people you was able to get past that. Right? Max B coming home. Where we at with that? Are you able to get past that?
No. Now we can pass now.
So he signed the papers. Jim walked away with full control of Max's publishing, and Max walked out with temporary freedom. But his whole future now sat in the hands of the man he once trusted most. When Max stepped out of jail in July 2007, he wasn't the same person anymore. Prison had hardened him. He came home broke, betrayed, and locked into a deal that stripped away everything he'd built. But as his buzz started growing again, Max realized something. If Jim wasn't going to treat him right, he was done keeping quiet. He was ready for war. Max walked away from Bird Gang and started plotting his next move. That's when French Montana stepped into the picture. French wasn't the superstar we know today. He was a Bronx street figure known for his Cocaine City DVD series. French already had his own issues with Jim after a shooting situation created bad blood. So when Max and French connected, it wasn't just about dropping music, it was about lining up for revenge. They teamed up and built Coke Wave, and it quickly became way more than a crew. It was a whole movement. Max knew he didn't have label backing, but he had something stronger. The streets rocked with him, so he kept feeding them, dropping mixtape after mixtape for free, making sure nobody could silence his voice. But Max didn't stop at music. He turned his situation with Jim Jones into full-on entertainment. Every interview, every freestyle, every appearance, Max was firing shots with no hesitation. The first big punch landed with his mixtape Public Domain 3. The cover alone shook the city. Max standing in a graveyard next to tombstones labeled Millie, Jim Jones, and Vado, basically calling them fake. Then the lyrics hit. Max rapped, "I know them dudes need me. I was giving them the loop, but them dudes done blew it," letting everybody know he believed he built that sound, and without him, they were lost. The record made serious noise across Harlem. Jim had the fame, but Max had the streets behind him heavy, and Max still wasn't done.
We can get past that now. You want to get past it? Or you want to dive more into it? Or you want me to tweak it?
I want you to pass it at some point.
You want me to crash out?
I definitely don't want you to crash out, because I don't want to crash out. Now, what I want for myself, I want for my brother.
He pushed even deeper and started going after reputations. One of the wildest moments came when Max dropped She Touched It in Miami. This wasn't some light diss, it was straight disrespect wrapped in a song. On the track, Max claimed that Jim's longtime partner Chrissy Lampkin had been intimate with him, and that rumor sent shockwaves everywhere. Jim Jones was blindsided. When Max started firing public shots, Jim tried to stay cool, brushing it off and acting like Max wasn't a factor at all. He jumped into interviews claiming Max was just a bitter, washed-up rapper who never made it. Jim even denied Max had anything to do with We Fly High, insisting he wrote his own biggest hit. But the streets weren't buying that story. People had already heard old reference tracks floating around, and Max's voice was all over them. Little by little, the conversation shifted. Fans started wondering how much of Jim's success came from his own talent and how much came from the people around him. Meanwhile, Max wasn't slowing down one bit. He even started talking publicly about how the beef wasn't just music, it was real-life energy. Max claimed there was a moment when Jim tried to ambush him in a parking lot, blocking his car with a Bentley. According to Max, he spotted it coming, hit the gas, rammed Jim's car out of the way, and still managed to land a few punches before peeling off. French Montana and the people closest to Max backed his story, and the whole situation turned into straight legend. Then came November 2008, the moment everything jumped to a whole new level. Max and French decided they weren't just talking, they were pulling up in person. They rolled deep into Manhattan and walked straight into the building where Jim was recording. Max later claimed that when Jim realized what was happening, He called the police. Whether that was true or not, just the accusation alone bruised Jim's street reputation. In that world, being labeled as someone who called the cops was one of the worst things you could be connected to. Not long after that, their crews ran into each other again at a club in Brooklyn.
I appreciate it. You see what I'm saying? Because there's too much money out here, it's too much life out here, and I like to do the things that I like to do. Ain't nothing feel better than living right now.
You're right.
And the whole spot turned into pure chaos. Chairs flying, bottles breaking, cops and canines rushing in. And once the dust settled, Max had done way more than just beef with Jim Jones. He flipped the entire narrative on him. Jim became a punchline, someone people started laughing at, while Max turned into a cult figure, a street legend who didn't need a label or industry backing to make noise. But while Max kept dropping music and feeding his fan base, the law was closing in. Max's old case from that hotel robbery had been crawling through the courts for years, and when the final verdict dropped, it crushed everything. Max was sentenced to 75 years in prison, and the hip-hop world froze. Fans couldn't believe it. While people mourned, Jim Jones looked like he was celebrating in silence. Max was locked away, his voice was gone, and Jim still controlled the publishing to his music. He thought the war was finally over, but in May 2010, everything flipped right back around. A judge ruled that Jim Jones had zero control over Max B's music anymore. The court found Max had met all the terms in both his contracts, which meant he was officially free from Jim's grip. Then came the real miracle. Max's massive 75-year sentence got cut down to 20, and later to just 12. Bit by bit, the daylight started creeping back in. And even with his release, controversy popped right back up. The moment news leaked that Max was close to getting out, snitching rumors started circulating. This time, the one pushing the storyline was Wack 100. He jumped out claiming he had paperwork proving Max cooperated with law enforcement while locked up. In a Vlad TV interview, he said he had documents showing Max allegedly met with authorities and gave information that helped reduce his sentence.
Being alive and getting money and fucking waking up.
No better feeling. There's no better feeling ever in the world.
Huh?
It's no better feeling ever in the world.
Feeling in the world. So what I'm saying is that.
But here's the real issue. Nobody outside of Wack 100 has ever seen this so-called paperwork. Even Wack admitted he never met Max, never spoke to Max, never had any dealings with him at all. Most people looked at the whole situation for what it was, another attempt to grab attention off somebody else's name. Fans came to Max's defense immediately, and honestly, most people didn't care about the rumors. They were just happy to see Max home and finally living life again. So where does that leave Jim Jones right now? The trolling has been relentless since Max touched down. 50 Cent's meme comparing Jim to a snitch went viral almost instantly, racking up millions of views and thousands of comments roasting Jim. Hip-hop blogs picked it up, fan pages amplified it, and Jim's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. The crazy part is Jim hasn't really said much publicly about Max being released. No Instagram posts, no interviews addressing it directly, nothing. That silence is speaking volumes to people. Some fans think Jim is staying quiet because he knows anything he says will just add fuel to the fire. Others think he's genuinely unbothered and doesn't want to give Max or the trolls any attention. But the longer Jim stays silent, the more people are going to keep pushing. Max, on the other hand, has been moving like he never missed a beat. He's been everywhere since he got out, checking out jewelry, hitting up birthday parties, turning up at clubs, even sitting courtside at NFL games. He proposed to his girlfriend just one day after walking out. The man is living his life loud and proud, and the people are absolutely loving it. This is hands down one of the most hyped homecomings hip-hop has seen in years. The big question now is whether Max will jump back into the music game and if the new generation will embrace him the way the old one did. The industry has changed a lot since he first touched down, but the streets don't forget their legends. Max built a cult following from behind bars, and those fans have been waiting over a decade to see the wave moving again. If he drops new music, there's no doubt people will listen. But will it connect with younger listeners who weren't around for the original Coke Wave era? That remains to be seen. For now, Max looks like he's just enjoying his freedom, soaking up the love, reconnecting with his people, and feeling the energy that's been waiting on him. And as for Jim Jones, the ball is kind of in his court. He can keep staying silent and let the trolling continue, or he can address it head on. But given their history, given how deep this beef ran, it's hard to imagine any response from Jim that doesn't just make things worse. So what do you think? Should Jim Jones respond to Max B being home? Or is silence the smartest move? And do you think Max is going to jump back into music full time? Or is he just enjoying his freedom? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this situation. Because something tells me this story is far from over.